Hey guys, welcome to the first video on my new channel, Switch Strizer. This is a basically dedicated channel to all things Nintendo Switch and Switch 2. I hope you guys stick around because we're going to be getting into all the news and games and reviews and gameplay, everything you can possibly think of for the Nintendo Switch 2 as it releases. I have over 200 plus games on the Nintendo Switch, so it's not like I'm just, oh well, it's a new system I want to cover. No, I'm heavily invested in Nintendo. I've been around since the NES days. I've played pretty much every single Nintendo platform since. Game Boy, Game Boy Advance, Game Boy Color, everything you can possibly imagine. I've pretty much owned it and played it at some point. So, I hope you stick around on the channel. And for today's news, for this video, for our very first video on the channel, we're going to talk about Gen 10 Pokemon. And I'm going to give you my concerns and stuff like that after we cover the news. Alright, so this is a rumor, so keep that in mind. It says Pokemon Gen 10 codename Gaia set to take place in Greek islands. So let's read this post. And this comes from mynintendonews.com. So I'll leave a link in the description down below. The new rumor for Pokemon Gen 10, which is codenamed Gaia, has emerged from generally reliable Pokemon Leaks account Centro Leaks. I'm sure a lot of you Pokemon fans are familiar with them. Pokemon Gen 10 codename Gaia is apparently releasing exclusively for Nintendo Switch 2 in 2026, coinciding with the beloved series' 30th anniversary. Pokemon Gen 10 codename Gaia is seemingly set to be inspired by the Greek islands and will involve water travel from island to island. We won't know for certain until the game is unveiled. Alright, and then I'll have a picture show up of the actual Central League's post. It says get ready for an oceanic adventure. It's true, we can confirm that Pokemon Gen 10 codename Gaia will take place in the Greek islands. The game is planned for release next year exclusively for Switch 2. Sweet. Alright, so my first major concern is what is Pokemon known for since its inception back on the Game Boy? Two versions. My first version I ever bought was Pokemon Blue. They didn't really have red at the time, so I got blue, but blue was my favorite color, so I just naturally thought that, oh, this looks awesome. I didn't even know what it was. I didn't know it was an RPG. No idea what I was getting into. I just thought Blastoise on the cover of the game looked so cool. Even more so than the awesome dragon Charizard, which I ended up getting later because my parents spoiled me when I was a kid, so there is that. However, so my big major concern, first concern, is are we going to get two different versions of the game? Like a red and blue, like a Omega, Alpha, Sapphire, whatever. Emerald. Yeah, we're going to get three versions. Pokemon Sword and Shield. You get the idea. Black and White. Sun and Moon. I'm trying to think of all the different Pokemon games because I've played literally all of them. I would have to say my favorite Pokemon game is Gold and Silver. I picked Silver because I thought Lugia looked awesome. Ho-Oh looks awesome too once you actually, see him in the newer games. But yeah, back then I thought Lugia was freaking amazing. And it was cool, like, I lived long enough to see Ash become a champion. Anyway, so, two different versions. What's the price of those games going to be? Are we going to keep it at $60 and then have $35 DLC? Or is Pokemon going to have two $80 versions? And this is something I haven't seen anybody else talk about yet. Because I've been following a lot of YouTubers talking about the Nintendo Switch. Nobody's been talking about, like, what are they going to do? Are we just going to get one version finally? Probably not. We're probably going to get two versions with locked Pokemon to each version, right? Version exclusive, just like the latest game, Scarlet and Violet, which is really funny. Even as much as I love Pokemon, that game kind of ruined the Switch for me because of its performance and bugs and stuff. I liked the game. I beat the game. I tried to get all the Pokemon I could, but the performance issues, man, it ran so terribly and looked so bad. It's funny how we have to have a whole new console for it to get, updated. Hopefully that update or upgrade is significant because it needs it. Anyway, so two different versions of the game. Are we starting at $60? Because that's a lot. It used to be $30, I think, back on the Game Boy. Then they went up to $40. Then now they're $60. I mean, are we going to get two $70 or $80 Pokemon games? I feel like if we're going to get two versions, they should keep it at 60, because you know they're going to have DLC for each version. So essentially they're going to get that, what, $120, and then with the DLC an extra $60, $70. So they're going to make their money anyway. And plus they're having a Pokemon game ZA come out this year, which looks very interesting. I don't know how I feel about the combat. I'm going to have to play it. It looks really cool. It looks like it's finally going to be like we've envisioned since we were kids, with the being able to maneuver and position your Pokemon and yourself like you're battling with them and everything. That looks really fun. I'm just not sure everything else around it, like the world, what our purpose is, all that kind of stuff. Like obviously you go from rank Z to A, but I'm just extremely curious how they're going to price structure the next game, because I know that's the hot topic for the Switch 2, is the pricing. The pricing is out the wazoo. What are the tariff situations going to look like next year? Will that affect the Pokemon game price? I mean, what if each version of the game, and I'm not saying this is going to happen, this is just us having a discussion here, is each game going to be like $100? That would be insane. $200 to get both versions of the game. It'll probably be the first time since the series inception where I won't get both versions. Like every game for the last, 20 years, I've gotten both versions of. Again, I was spoiled, and then when I got a job, I ended up buying them both. Usually I'll give the other one to my brother, because my brother and I play Pokemon. We're pretty old and we still like Pokemon. I mean, the little creatures are cute. And oh yeah, I'll just say this real quick. My favorite Pokemon of all time, and it's not from the originals. I love Blastoise and Gengar. Those are probably my favorites from the original. But of every single over 1,000 Pokemon, I love Beartic. A frickin' polar bear. Polar bear is my favorite animal, and he looks awesome. He has an ice beard and everything. Beartic is my favorite Pokemon. I really hope he gets a Mega Evolution in the future. That would be really cool. That would be awesome for me. I have a feeling he's not going to be in ZA or in the next game, because he's been in every game, I think, since Sword and Shield. And then, of course, I like Teddiursa, and then the Panda Bear. I can never remember the Panda Bear's name, because he's a panda. He's a freaking panda. He's awesome. I would love to have like an entire bear team. Like they need to get every type of bear in the game that you can possibly get. I was always hoping that Beartic would get a third evolution, and it would be like Ice and Steel, or Ghost and Ice. That would be awesome. Something cool, right? And where if he's a Steel type, then let's say he gets awesome armor, like Knight armor or battle armor, tech armor, something, and he has to go down on all four legs because he's so heavy. That would be really cool. Anyway, I used to think about this stuff when I was growing up. I had all these different cool polar bear Pokemon. Anyway, sound off the comments below. How do you feel about this? What do you think the price is going to be for the Nintendo Switch 2 Pokemon games? Like ZA, I don't know. Will ZA be more than the Switch version? Do you think ZA will be 60 or be 80? Keep an eye on ZA's price for the Switch 2, because I think that's a big indicator for what we're going to be paying for each version of the Pokemon game next year. Anyway, thank you for watching. Thank you for joining me in my first video. Sound off the comments if you have any suggestions or anything like that. And as always, like I say on my wrestling channel, stay frosty.